And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall. I hope you're doing all okay. It is boiling hot here in the UK. We are sweltering, but we are still so happy after the weekend's football result. Raheem Sterling 1-0 against Croatia, getting revenge from the 2018 World Cup. So congratulations to England and keep up the good work at the Euros. But we are all about NFL here for the old fan, the new fan, and the UK fan. The Franchise Tag Podcast comes to you live for the first ever time. Yes, we did skip the Broncos pick. We did talk about the Eagles pick before that because we were waiting on having a fantastic guest with us today. We have Brandon Perna on with us, host of That's Good Sports, Real Football News, fake sports anchor, and also co-host of Clickbait Sports himself, the Denver Broncos fan. Brandon, how are you? I hope you've been going all okay. Is it just as warm over in the States as it is over here at the minute?
Yeah, it's been very hot here. I appreciate you guys having me on and rescheduling for me. We were supposed to do it last week, but I was literally at the doctor's office with my baby. She is doing much better now. So I think we were supposed to go live in, I don't know, like 20 minutes. I was like, I can't do it, guys. Can't do it. I appreciate you accommodating my crazy life.
Oh, no, it's more than fine. We're happy to go on today. And we're really excited to have you on. Congratulations for raising all that money for charity after the video that you should all go and watch out there. And it is of Brandon really destroying in a very fun fashion a Lego version of Tom Brady's head. I mean, I know there's a lot of Tom Brady haters out there who would love that. How much did you raise for charity and what charity was it for, Brandon?
We've raised over $12,000 for the Alzheimer's Association. So all that money goes to helping, people with Alzheimer's, families dealing with loved ones who have it. My sister works for the charity, so I feel really good about supporting it. It's something that has affected our family. It's also like it oddly ties in with the Broncos because their owner, Pat Bolin, and his wife both have it. And it's a charity the Broncos organization supports. So I didn't think we were going to raise that much money. We did. I promised to destroy this giant Tom Brady Lego head. And then I got weird with it. I got weird with the destruction. My buddy Woody Roseland came over and helped me shoot it. He's incredibly talented. And like 2 nights before we shot, I was like, what if we parody the scene from Reservoir Dogs where he tortures the guy and cuts his ear off, and then we'll just shift to me smashing it with the baseball bat. And he was like, cool. And we just kind of winged it, but the video turned out great. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Has Tom Brady commented yet? Acknowledged that it has happened? No?
That son of a gun. I gave him the chance. I offered a peace offering. I said, Tom, I will stop the hate if you RT this tweet, just a retweet to help raise money. If you donate, I'll stop the slander. Nothing. Radio silence. And he's been on Twitter a lot lately. He has been active on social media, and he has been tagged hundreds of times by people who watch my show. And I know he's seen it. He's just ignored it. So I will continue to try and bring his legacy down to a palatable level.
A hero of the people, Brandon, for sure. A lot of Brady haters out there. So we're going to be talking about Patrick Surtain and the Denver Broncos today. Obviously, Surtain getting picked with the 9th pick of the 2021 draft. That's why we've got you on. It was a difficult one with this Denver pick. I think no one really knew what direction that they would be going with it. And it was the direction of Patrick Surtain, and his name was called out. He came to stage, took the Broncos jersey. What was your reaction when his name was called out?
It was like my insides were being torn apart in 2 different directions. Because on one hand, it's like, cool, the Broncos got a great defensive player, maybe the best defensive player in this draft, at a position they're really going to need a defensive player. And I think corner, the more the league's evolved into just a heavy passing league, like you need very good corners on your defense if you want to win anything. So I love the pick from that perspective. But the Broncos don't have their quarterback situation figured out yet, and they had Justin Fields sitting there. cost-effective QB that you can still have a real competition with Fields and Locke, but I would have liked to see them take Justin Fields at that spot just because you're not winning crap without a great quarterback in the NFL. I mean, the Broncos did it with that great defense in 2015. They still had Peyton Manning, even though his arm was dead. He still did things to help that team that a young QB can't do. So you can win with a great defense, but you really need a good QB. So I like the pick. I love Patrick Surtain. I think he's going to be great in the NFL, but I'm just not sure it was the right pick for the Broncos at that spot.
Yeah, you've just said that there's a strong possibility you thought he could be the best defensive player in this draft. What impressed you the most about his time at Alabama?
If I'm going to be completely honest, I don't watch a lot of college football. So I'll say this. The fact that he was playing at Alabama, Alabama does not pick up bad players. You got to be one of the best to get to Alabama. I think his dad being in the league has helped him prepare for what life in the NFL will be like. So I think he's been training like a pro for longer than a lot of guys coming out of college. And then I'll just say, based on everybody else's analysis of him, he was pretty good. Yeah, and he went up against, in the SEC, he played against great wide receivers, and I think that also helps.
Yeah, definitely. I did watch quite a bit of him while he was there. I do watch a bit of the college football here and there. Right. And yeah, remarks that I got and what I picked out, he's a prototype NFL cornerback, great length, physical. He's got real good speed for a bigger guy as well, because he's not one of those shorter, speedier cornerbacks. So yeah, real impressive. Like you said, at Alabama. So you're coached to almost an NFL level already, right, with the coaches that they've got there as well. And I think what I really, really liked about him, and it's something we've mentioned in some of our shows previously, this guy can go up against tight ends when they go out on the wideout, which is something people have said, how are you going to mark, like Kyle Pitts or something like that. So this is the guy that can mark him. So, that's a good guy to go up against.
Yeah, I mean, in the AFC West, the Broncos play against Darren Waller and Travis Kelce. And the Broncos this season have a lot of corners, assuming they all stay healthy. So I think you bring up a good point in that if you need an extra corner, a big physical guy to put on a guy like Travis Kelce, maybe the Broncos can finally slow Travis Kelce down a little bit. So yeah, I think that's totally fair. And this season that should work. And it will be fun if the Broncos defense is great. But again, just hope the offense can match what we're projecting for that defense.
How well do you think he's going to integrate into the NFL? I mean, you've just come out and said that his dad obviously played. Do you think that will help? And also with a coach like Vic Fangio, who's defensive minded, do you think that he'll be someone who will help him out a lot?
Yeah, I think one of the little nuggets we got from Broncos OTAs was that Fangio said that Surtain was very coachable, and I mean, you would hope any rookie coming into the league is very coachable, because if they're not, you made the wrong pick. But Fangio doesn't dish out a lot of compliments, so I think there was a little substance to that. And I think in terms of him having success quickly, the chances are very good, because he doesn't have to be a starting corner playing the whole game early in the season. He's got time to kind of adjust and figure out how the NFL game works, because the Broncos have Fuller, Darby, and Callahan already. So there's no pressure there for him to come out and be the guy. He's got time to kind of develop into that role. And I think he's going to get into that role sooner rather than later. I just earlier this week watched Aqib Talib's podcast, former legendary Broncos quarterback, stealer of chains. He's really excited about Surtain and the Broncos secondary. And so I'm going to assume Aqib Talib can evaluate a good corner. And he's, got that similar size as Aqib. And if he plays with that sort of, gritty tenacity, he'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I know we've just spoke about his strengths and things like that. But do you think there's any weaknesses that he's going to
zero weakness?
There we go.
Zero
This is a nice
weakness.
quick one. And do you think he's got any challenges going into the NFL?
Yeah, he's gonna have to. He's gonna have to cover guys like Tyreek Hill, and nobody's really been able to do that. So we'll see how he matches up against some of the most freakishly fast players on earth. Hopefully, being physical with them, maybe at the line of scrimmage, slows them down. Hopefully, the Raiders continue to underperform in their offense, but they theoretically have guys that should be hard to cover, like, Henry Ruggs, the Chargers, Keenan Allen. Like, there's going to be some challenges, but I will predict that he shuts them all down now. I'll be confident. Like, between now and September 12th, when the season starts, I'm all optimism.
I mean, I'd go as far to say he's the best man coverage cornerback that was in this draft. I think, if anything, he needs to get a little bit better at zone coverage. But other than that, he's absolute stud, so he'll be fine.
I agree. I concur.
Do you think that the pick shows that the Broncos are really trying to focus on the defensive side of the ball? Like, that's the thing that they need to improve in order to get going again this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting just because they have a new GM in George Payton calling the shots, and I'm always a fan. I'm a fan of when really good defensive players go early, because you see a lot of run on offensive talent in the first round of the draft. So I feel like you can really find great defensive players earlier. And the Broncos have been pretty good at drafting defense. And I think it was more kind of a look towards the future for this team, because after this season, I think Bryce Callahan's contract is up. Fuller's basically on a 1-year deal. So they're going to have some departures in the secondary. And I think they're thinking about that as well, where you're not going to be in a horrible position come next offseason where you lose all of your corners. So I think it was the smartest, safest pick for them as well. Again, it's hard when there's a QB there, and that's a big need. But if the defense is very good, I'll be happy, and maybe they still get Aaron Rodgers. That's all I'm hoping for. That's real.
This is probably how many of these Future the Franchises episodes have done now? 10
bring it up.
episodes, and
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers has been a lead topic in every single episode, and Adam is behind the eyes furious whenever it comes up, and he laughs it off, and he's a good sport about it, admittedly, but there is a burning rage inside Adam every time Aaron Rodgers is brought up. But I think you make a really justified point there about the defense. You were saying about, there's a bit of a rebuild there. We may lose some players like Kyle Fuller, but you did bring in like Ronald Darby, re-signed Shelby Harris, re-signed Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson for a long time. You got Patrick Surtain now. You did lose some guys like AJ Boye, Jarrell Casey. So there has been a bit of a mix-up. And out of the 10 draft picks you had this year, there was 7 were defensive players. So you're right. In a way, quarterback may have been the pressing issue, but there clearly was a bit of a focus here this offseason for Vic Fangio and the new GM to go a bit all-out defense, because you've got so many offensive studs, really, in Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant. Is it just now the worry that they don't have a competent person that throws the ball to them? I mean, you've got Drew Lock there. You've just traded for Teddy Bridgewater. You don't seem incredibly confident with either of them quarterbacks, if I'm honest, Brandon.
Yeah.
But where do you sit with all of that?
Yeah, well, I think you brought up a good point. I think this draft also is like a response to last year's draft, because they kind of went offense heavy, right? They took 2 receivers with their first 2 picks. They grabbed another tight end in Albert O, and he got hurt. But if he's healthy, then they have 2 dangerous tight ends. This last draft, though, their second pick was running back Javonte Williams. So they added, I think, a key piece in that running back. And I like Drew Lock. I really do. I've just watched him play for 2 years, and he was not better in his second season. He got hurt again. He's been hurt twice. So that's a concern. And I think he can be a decent quarterback. I just need to see it first. And I saw more things that concerned me in his second year than made me excited about where he can take the team. Physically, he has the skills. Like, he's got the talent to be good. And we saw, like, Broncos fans love Josh Allen right now because he took a giant leap from year 2 to 3. So we all believe that Drew Lock can have that same magic sort of jump, but that doesn't happen a lot with quarterbacks. So we're kind of wishing there, just like we're wishing for Aaron Rodgers. But I think Drew Lock can be good. Maybe, let's, like, the things that worked against him: a pandemic, new offensive coordinator, didn't get time to be with that offensive coordinator, an offensive coordinator who calls an aggressive game plan, which is tough for a rookie or young quarterback who's going to maybe make some mistakes doing that, and then getting hurt again early in the season, missing reps there. So to be fair to Drew, he deserves a chance to play this season. Teddy Bridgewater is a quarterback I love. I've been rooting for Teddy to come back from his injury. He did. He looked great with the Saints, but then not so great with the Panthers last year. So I'm hoping, if Teddy's playing, that he can be who he was with New Orleans. And if the Broncos defense is as good as we're projecting, and they really do have all these offensive weapons emerging, then Bridgewater could get the team into the playoffs. But he's probably not a long-term answer. And then if you're in the playoffs as the Broncos, you're not drafting high enough to get your future quarterback in the next draft. So it's just like a weird double-edged sword, I guess, for the team.
If Teddy Bridgewater can take you to the playoffs, what could Aaron Rodgers do for you?
Win you 50 Super Bowls in a row? I mean, like,
what? I mean, like, do you actually believe that you have a chance of getting Aaron Rodgers? Like,
yes,
because
I have to believe that.
Because the thing is that the Packers are stupid enough to get themselves in this situation. So therefore, why would they be clever enough in order to trade him away to actually get something?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. It comes down to if Aaron Rodgers is really willing to not play this season. And if the Packers get that message, then you would think that they would want to get something in return for him. If they know he's not going to come back, if he's just going to retire and refuse to play for him, why force him to retire? Why rob us of more great Aaron Rodgers years in the NFL? But more importantly, you're going to need some ammunition to try and continue to build your team. So I think they have to believe that he's willing to not play for them. I don't know if they believe that yet. I believe Rodgers has to stick to that narrative. And then if they believe that, I don't know why they wouldn't trade him. I mean, at this point, you got to get something for him if he's not going to play, is my point. But
they didn't trade for Favre. He retired and they let that go on for a season. I know it's a slightly different situation, but it's like, they didn't trade for him, and you do just sort of think that they're they're quite single-minded. Like, when they decide something, they decide something. So it does feel like that it's something that they're not going to do.
Yeah, they let Favre, they waived his rights or whatever, because, like, if you retire, you're still tied to that team. I forget exactly what happened, but the difference was they had Aaron Rodgers behind Favre. They have Jordan Love now, and I think they don't believe Jordan Love is ready or is the heir apparent. Like, if they thought Jordan Love was great, then they probably would have already made this trade happen. And it's not even fair to Love because he didn't really get any time to play last year.
Yeah.
Although, like, they drafted him in the first round and they kept their other backup quarterback to start ahead of him. So I don't think their confidence is high in Jordan.
I suppose if all else fails, you could get back on the Deshaun Watson bandwagon.
Yeah, that's a dicey wagon to get on, though.
I'd much rather you did, though. That would be much better.
Yeah, Packers fans really want that to happen.
With the improvement that is happening in the AFC West, do you worry as a Denver fan? You have Patrick Mahomes, the transcendent talent, is going to be there for 10-year contract. He's going to be a Kansas City for life, it feels like. Justin Herbert, who had such an amazing rookie year. Last year was a really sensation to the league coming in. And then you have Derek Carr, who, jury's out on Derek Carr, but he can play. You can't argue against that. He's a pretty decent quarterback. However, they do have Adam's favorite coach, the crazy John Gruden in there. But what do you always say, Adam? He just loves his new toys and loves tinkering.
He loves his new toys. He will constantly change his players over and over again and get nowhere.
Yeah,
does it worry you as Denver fan that that a lot of these teams are making these big moves and changing up quite a lot? And again, it goes really back to the point of you could have picked a quarterback with this pick, could have taken Justin Fields or Mac Jones, I suppose, if you wanted to. Do you think that maybe Denver just weren't bold enough to do something as drastic as maybe some of the other franchises have done in the division?
Yeah, I worry about the lack of balls they showed with that draft pick for sure. And Herbert's a great example because he was the third QB taken, right? It was Burrow, Tua, then Herbert. You could argue Herbert looked like maybe the best quarterback of the three. Like Joe Burrow looked great, but he got hurt. He's playing behind no offensive line. But everybody was certain that Burrow and Tua were better than Justin Herbert heading into that draft. So this draft, there's Justin Fields at 3. The third quarterback there might be the best one in the draft. You don't know until you get that guy on your team. He has to go to the right situation. So yeah, the Chargers, I think, found a guy. And the Chargers, they don't worry me so much because it feels like they will always find ways to lose games no matter how talented they are. I'm not worried about the Raiders because they do have John Gruden and Mark Davis paired for another 5 years or whatever. And that does not scare me at all. Not one bit. Because I don't even think John Gruden's a good head coach anymore. Chiefs, they give me nightmares. I lose sleep because of that stupid team right now. And even beyond Mahomes, they find ways to turn money, just magically spawn money for their salary cap. I don't know how they do it. They keep their line fell apart. They got rid of their great offensive linemen after they got hurt and got their ass kicked in the Super Bowl. And then they rebuild it with all of these great players. You're like, how are they going to do that? They don't have money to do that. No, they found it. So, yeah, the Chiefs are at the top. They're going to be at the top. I think the Chargers' new head coach, Justin Herbert, they'll probably be second. I'm confident the Broncos, even if they play bad, will still finish ahead of the Raiders.
Do you think that, given that this is Vic Fangio's third season in charge now coming up, do you think that this is a bit of a do or die season for him if he doesn't pull it out of the bag? Then
some people are saying, because he's never won a game in September as the Broncos head coach. So people are saying if he doesn't win a game this September, he'll be fired mid-season. So I don't think that'll happen, but you have a new GM who I'm sure likes Fangio, but he's not loyal to him at all. The Broncos have moved on from coaches pretty regularly over the last 6 years. So, yeah, definitely make or break. He has to be in. It's even if he's average, I don't think George Payton will be eager to bring him back. I think he has to he has to get the team to the playoffs, I feel like, for his job to be safe.
Yeah, I think outside of the teams that you're playing in your own division, I think he's got some nice matchups as well. I know he plays the whole of the NFC East, which you've got to be thinking you've got wins there. And then I think you play Jags, Jets, Bengals.
Yeah, we got some winnable games.
Yeah, I think as the schedule goes, this has got to be the year that he sort of cements it.
I hope so. It all depends on that offense playing better.
How impressed were you with Jerry Jeudy last year when you drafted him? I mean, he was decent enough, but then I think he was overshadowed massively by just the fact that Justin Jefferson was just outstanding for Minnesota. Did you like the direction last year of them getting in the offensive weapons and players like that? I did read earlier, though, that you cut people like Tim Patrick, and though Tim Patrick's never going to be your number one, I thought that was like a decent third guy. But then I suppose when you've got KJ Hamler, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, you don't really need the fourth string player to be that elite, do you? When you've got that, it must excite you.
Yeah, Tim Patrick's really underrated receiver. You put him on a team that has a great passing offense, and he's just he'll be a stud for you. Like, he's a guy you can rely on. So Tim Patrick, definitely like a local favorite. Jerry Jeudy, loved the draft pick. He's incredibly talented. He's definitely one of the best route runners the Broncos have ever drafted. His speed's crazy. He can get open. And last year, his biggest issue was just drops. He had way too many drops. But I also think that's a product of coming out of Alabama sometimes, where receivers are used to just being wide open all the time. And all of a sudden you're in the NFL and it's a little harder to get separation. There's more traffic. I think that takes an adjustment. So I think he's going to have a much better second season. Losing Cortland Sutton early to injury was huge because Sutton's incredibly talented. He's like the number one receiver. And I think if you have a healthy Sutton all year where he's like the guy that defenses are keying on, Jerry Jeudy will feast on, a team's number one corners he was burning. It was just whether or not the ball was going to get to him, one issue, and then whether or not he was going to catch it, another issue. I think, year two, he could have a big season. If Drew Lock is good, Jerry Jeudy will put up some big numbers.
Do you worry about Sutton at all? I mean, he's coming back from a torn ACL, so it's it is a serious injury.
You always worry about guys returning from ACL injuries. Medical technology so much better though. Like, I think they've got it dialed in, and it's tough though for receivers because they need that explosiveness. And it's not so much that I worry about him coming back. Like, I think he'll be fine. But like we saw with Bradley Chubb, who did the same thing, it takes a little bit before I think you feel comfortable on your knee and before you're playing at full speed like you were prior to the injury. So I think he'll bounce back. I think it'll just take, 4 to 8 games before he really starts to feel like his old self. But he tore it early, so he's had a whole year to rehab. That's the other thing you look for is like, when did they tear it? Was it at the end of the season or the beginning of the season? So he should be fine. He'll have 1,500 receiving yards.
1,500. Get him in your fantasy football team.
Yeah,
he's getting drafted round.
It didn't go well for me.
I put in the comments on our socials any questions that you have for Brandon. We'll try and ask him, and we've got one here with 3 winnable games to start the season. Do you think you'll win all 3, and how many games do you think you'll win this season? So your opening fixtures are the Giants, which is Andrew's team, and the Jaguars, and then the Jets. I mean, you're going to upset one person in this video, but are they all 3 winnable games? I know you said Vic Fangio's never won in September, but there are 3 games there that could very easily win all 3. And how many games do you think you'll win, and how many do you think you'll need to get into that playoff berth? Because the AFC is a lot harder now than it has been.
I don't think they win all 3, just because my optimism has been chipped away at every year since we've won the Super Bowl. I do think they win week 1 against the Giants. Sorry to say it, but I feel like the Broncos and the Giants, very similar football teams right now. The Giants defense started to play better the second half of last season. They gave the Bucks a run for their money in primetime football last season. They just have a giant question mark at quarterback, a quarterback who's looked very good at times, also doesn't always throw interceptions, but finds creative ways to turn the ball over. So, yeah, I think they get 2 out of those 3 games. It feels like one of those teams, it might be the Giants, might be better than they were last year by a lot. The Jags got a new quarterback. The Jets. Like, on paper, the toughest game should be the Giants, and then 2 easy wins against the Jags and Jets. But that stuff always changes. So I feel like the Broncos will beat the Giants and then lose in some dumb way to either the Jags or Jets.
And how many wins do you think you'll get on the season?
Oh, I don't know. I'm hoping.
Brandon, I do feel like your
Okay.
optimism level has decreased throughout this video. You were like super hyped, pumped earlier. Like, yeah, we're going to the playoffs, baby. And then it was like, yeah, and then the Chiefs are going to top. Yeah, we'll probably finish third. It's gone slowly downhill, my man.
I'm getting worse at faking it. It's like, like two people have been married for a very long time and they just keep disappointing each other. 10 wins would be it is weird. I keep you got that extra game, so it's 10 and 7. That would feel good. I feel like they're going to be right in the middle though, unless they make a move at quarterback with Aaron Rodgers. They're going to be like 9 and 8, 8 and 9 is my official prediction. High ceiling 10 wins, maybe 11. They need some luck. They had all of the bad luck last year, so they need guys to stay healthy.
Not some luck, but some luck. Brandon, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on, my friend. Where can we find all your stuff on social media, your podcast and channel as well, which I recommend anyone to go over to that. That's Good Sports. It is really fantastic. Where can we find all of it? Yeah,
That's Good Sports on YouTube. Check it out. I do NFL news videos, all sorts of dumb NFL stuff every week. I've got Benchwarmer Brew up here. That's my coffee company. I don't know how to. There we go. Benchwarmer Brew. That's our Twitter account. We just launched actually a new coffee brand today with another YouTuber, 5 Points Vids. So we have 2 coffee blends. If you want to spend a ton of money on shipping, check that coffee out.
There we go. Benchwarmer Brew. There it is. There's the brand just there. Again, Brandon, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. And thank you for people who have watched tonight. Like we said, it's our first live video. We are adjusting to it, getting new to it, having a bit of fun with it as well, messing around with comments and stuff like that. We're going to slowly adjust and get more used to it. But thank you for all your support so far with our YouTube videos that we've had brought out. This Future of the Franchise series has done a lot better than we expected, and the numbers for some of our videos have really rose already. And thank you for all the guests that have been coming on so far. But until then, enjoy the rest of the week. Common England for the Euros. That'll be later on in the week as well. Rain is coming, unfortunately, but the sun will shine again, and we'll back with you next week live with another episode. Till then, have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.